Hello everyone, welcome back to the Grand Prix Podcast. I'm Elton, and he's not here. He's probably gallivanting around somewhere in London, as he does. Anyway, you're listening to your 18th favourite podcast about Formula One, and this is the episode where we talk about the mid-season review. Now, you may remember from last time out, we had like a 3-hour podcast, and that weren't going to fly with anyone, I don't think. So what we did, we cut out our mid-season impromptu review, and here it is in all its glory. So it's going to sound like you're joining the conversation, because you are joining the conversation. But we really just hope that you enjoy what we're talking about. There may be another recording before the Belgian Grand Prix. What we're thinking of doing, it's not scheduled yet, but what we're thinking of doing is going through the rules that we'd like to change, maybe make Formula One in our eyes, in our heads, a little bit more entertaining, what could work, what might not work. So it might get recorded, it might not, but you know, the option is there at the moment. If you want to join in with that, you're more than welcome to send an email to us. And our email address is boxboxbox@grandprixpodcast.com. Send them all in there, and we will do our very best to read any out that we get, if we do get any. You know, this might be the first time that you'll drop an email to us. Go for it. Why not? Listen to me screw it up. I'm terrible at reading this sort of stuff out, so you know, you might get your kicks that way, I suppose. So anyway, I'll leave it there anyway. So you have the option to do that if you wish. So we both hope you enjoy this, and we will see you in the next episode. So see you later, and bye-bye. Right, so you want my some thoughts on Williams then, yeah?
Well, just if you have any.
Williams, I think I have said all I have to say at the moment. Now the drivers are in open season now. Everyone is open for our critical release, I feel.
Yes.
All teams, all drivers. The drivers...
It's the gloves can now come off.
They certainly are. The drivers, I need to step it up a bit, because they haven't shown me... Stroll hasn't shown me why he's like this beaming thing of light. I think he's been adequate to a certain point. I think that podium last season at Azerbaijan went a long way and helped him out, loads.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I wouldn't say get rid of them. I don't know who to parachute in there. Kubica, maybe. That's an argument for another day, I feel. But Williams, I feel sorry for them, but there's only so much sorry I can give them at the moment. Yeah,
it's like you said. There's only so much you can. You can only help someone so much. They find until you have to let them get on with it, I suppose.
Yeah.
I don't think it would hurt them potentially to just throw Kubica in one of them, especially if they decide Stroll's going to Force India. Mm-hmm. Sit him out, let Kubica do some races just to see how he is. You can't do it worse.
No, that's right. Okay, what about Sauber then?
Very impressed with Sauber. We started this season thinking Sauber were going nowhere, potentially going to collapse.
Yep.
But then Ferrari came in with the Alfa Romeo brand, effectively made them a B or C. I don't know if they're a B team or C team. I think Ferrari have more control over Sauber than they do over Haas. Yeah. So I guess Sauber's more their B team. And they even transferred some personnel over, as I recall. But they've done very, very well. Massively impressed with Charles Leclerc. Hugely impressed with him.
Yeah.
Because let's not forget, this is his first season.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think he's done very, very well. The whole team...
He's Rookie of the Year, definitely.
Yes. The whole team seems to have been lifted with this kind of new branding with the Alpha branding on there, but it's just positive reinforcement of, okay, you may be at the back this season, but next season you can turn it around. And that's what's happened here. Mm-hmm. I think the Ferrari engine has something to do with it, but I think it's down to personnel and the actual attitude of everyone there. And Charles Leclerc coming in, I think, has been a good breath of fresh air, because it was Ericsson that was the main man there. It didn't matter who they put in there. It would be, well, Ericsson's our man. And now Charles has come in there and just...
Well, you say that. You say that. I'm certainly of the opinion I thought Pascal Wehrlein was a better driver.
Oh, he was. But I think that Ericsson was their shining light.
Well, I think it was because he brought money. I think Ericsson brought money, so that's why they did that. Also, Wehrlein is a Mercedes man. So if they knew they were going more Ferrari, I suppose that just wasn't tenable.
No.
So, but I certainly didn't expect Leclerc to be, the, what's the word I'm looking for? Revelation he has been.
No, I wasn't expecting that. I thought it would be like a nice, quiet first season, but he's made waves. He's done good things, and Sauber have looked good.
Yeah, he's not made many silly mistakes either. There's been a couple, but not... he's not done any of those like the Verstappen things where he's done something stupidly controversial and bitten his ass. I think I've said this before. I think if there ends up being a seat at Ferrari next year, he's very much in the running to get it.
Yes, definitely. Toro Rosso.
Gasly's done very well, I feel.
Yeah.
Well, so the team as a whole, the Honda engine, I think the relationship's a much happier one than they ever had with McLaren.
Yeah.
Because I think it's more of a two-way street now. I think Toro Rosso are happy to listen to Honda and to compromise where it's needed. And Toro Rosso haven't had the same amount of pressure on them as they had with McLaren. And equally, Honda's been more willing to listen to what Toro Rosso's needed and things like that. Grant you, they've probably got their eyes more on the bigger Red Bull prize. But even so, they've managed to make it work for them. So that's good. I'm glad Honda's found a way to make it work. Because didn't want to lose Honda again. No matter how much we put them down last season.
Oh, yeah. The last 3 seasons have been embarrassing for them. But I feel Honda seem to have settled down, even though they are using lots of elements on their power units. They kind of settled down, and in the races we're not seeing the cars breaking down constantly, which is a massive factor. We were seeing Alonso crashing out and breaking down a lot, and that was the public face of Honda for a while, wasn't it?
Very much so. And you also had the drivers being very publicly critical of the engines. These drivers are both a lot younger, and I don't feel they have the authority necessarily to be that vocal.
No.
About it. I have a lot of respect for Brendan Hartley. He's an LMP1 driver, and y'all know I love me some LMP1.
Yeah.
But he's just not quite clicked as well as Gasly has. I think he just might not be a good fit for Formula One. I'm not saying he can't do it. He's certainly doing better than the Williams pair.
Mm-hmm.
But Gasly's doing a lot better at it, and I feel that might be just Gasly's had a whole lot of single seat open cockpit experience leading up to this.
Yeah.
Whereas Brendan Hartley had all that, and then he went over to LMP1, and I think, was it 3 years racing in that?
I think it was, yeah.
That's very different to Formula One and that sort of racing, and it's just a different style, you know? Yeah. So just my thoughts, such as they are.
No, that's cool.
Who's next on our list? We've done Toro Rosso. McLaren. Oh, McLaren. McLaren. Old Mackie McLaren.
Well, they started off quite well. They started scoring points at the start of the season, and we thought, oh, okay.
They're better than they were last year.
Yeah.
or at least they started better than they did last year. They've scored more points than they scored last year.
But it's tapered off, though, hasn't it?
It has tapered off, and I do feel a lot of it is they pinned all of the blame on the Honda engine. They were saying they had the best chassis in Formula One. Their shit didn't stink. You know, if you put a Mercedes engine in the back of that car, it would have won every race by a country mile, the same way the MP4 won back in the day.
Yeah, it was.
You know, yeah, it would have been that all over again. If only we had a decent engine. And then they got a reasonable engine in the back of a car, an engine which they can measure themselves against.
Mm-hmm.
They can measure themselves against known race winners. Now, let me get that quote right. They have been weighed, they have been measured, and they have been found wanting.
Well, they had delusions of grandeur being up with Red Bull, and I thought they would be. I thought Renault, I distinctly remember myself turning around and saying that it's weird to have a customer engine below the works engine below the customer race cars. And that's where I thought McLaren would be. I thought they would be above Renault, and they're not, because it was the way they were talking about it last year, though.
Yeah.
And so you think, yeah, they might be able to do this. And yeah, they seem to have plateaued a little bit. They've had a couple of solid results, scoring points. There's still no podium by Spain. Definitely not. Or by Christmas.
Definitely not so. You take Alonso out of that car, and they're probably back there with the Williams. Well, a bit ahead, I suppose. Stoffel's has scored more points, but they're not in a good position, and we've seen that. You know, Eric Boulier's had to go.
Yep.
There's fundamental problems in the McLaren team, and don't know an easy fix. I said this before. I think the McLaren team is in a bigger mess than the Williams team is, despite what the results say.
Yeah. I feel that as well. Yeah. Force India. Well, they're going for a tricky time at the moment, but I feel that they have been down on performance compared to last season and the season before. They just haven't really kicked into gear yet. It feels like they I know that they've had podiums in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And that's never really been on the cards this season, has it? They haven't even been in and around there.
No.
Oh no, they got one in Azerbaijan.
They got one in Azerbaijan, but they are. I think the behind the scenes uncertainty is affecting the team a bit.
Yep.
I think they have two very good drivers still, very evenly matched, because they're still generally finishing around each other, and that always says to me. That says to me that they're getting the most they can out of a car when they do it.
Yeah.
I would still probably say Ocon, I feel, is a more naturally talented driver, perhaps. But I feel Perez is maybe a more experienced driver with a better head on it.
Yeah, I prefer Ocon over Perez, but I think Perez is a good, solid driver now. I think his time at McLaren came a bit too soon.
Yeah, I feel like with Magnussen, it's maybe spoilt by being in that position.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So yeah, I'm hope that they can turn things around within their infrastructure and continue to the end of the season at least, and then bigger and brighter things after that.
Oh, we didn't talk about the drivers at McLaren.
Well,
Fernando, I'm on the record saying I don't think he's going to be there next year.
No,
but in terms of performance, I think he has consistently gotten the most out of that car. The only exception, I would say, was the German Grand Prix, I think, where it just felt like he couldn't be bothered.
No, that's right. Yeah, it just... yeah, I think it was like winter blues, wasn't it? I think he got a case of that during the summer.
Possibly. So there was that. Stoffel, I don't know. I don't know where I am with Stoffel.
Forget about today. If today hadn't happened, where would you be?
If today hadn't happened, where would I be with Stoffel? All of his points have come from the first 4 races. Outside of that, it's been 2 retirements and the rest 14, 16, 12, 15, 11, 13. Given the Wunderkind billing he was given at the beginning, I don't think he measures up. But, it's a big but, I think the only reason Fernando's doing as well as he is doing in that car is because he's Orlando fucking Alonso.
Yeah.
I think you can put almost... There's 20 drivers on the grid, yeah? I think there's only 5 drivers that can get points out of that McLaren.
Right.
So I can't be too hard on him in that respect. And I don't think McLaren's going to get any of those 5 anytime soon. So it might be a case of, especially for Lawrence, if Fernando's going next year, better the devil you know.
Yeah.
And don't make the mistake Williams had with just... well, I say that Stroll was in the car last year, so who knows. But I think they're probably better keeping him next season than getting rid. But I do think Stoffel's got to pull his boots up for the second half and try and score some points.
Yeah, if he doesn't get any results in the last half of this season, then that's it. I think he's gone.
Yeah, I think we'd put a C+, must do better.
Yeah, okay. Haas. What about Haas? Because they looked... very good in Australia. They lost a lot of points in Australia, and that should have been the kick that they needed and deserved, really. Because
yeah, they were very good in Australia. Magnussen did very well in Bahrain and China.
Yep.
Grosjean had, and I quote because I love quoting it because it's hilarious, a pointless season up until the French Grand Prix.
Yep.
Which was just entertaining to watch more than anything. I'm sure it was frustrating, but he's scored in a couple of races now, so it's fair play to him.
Yeah.
I still think, bearing in mind, Haas didn't exist 2 years ago. Haas is still a brand new team,
right?
So I think they're doing very well. Still, I think they're kind of where I'd expect them to. No, they're above where I'd expect them to be, but they are where a good, solid midfield team should be.
Mm-hmm.
So, looking at the teams around them, Renault, Toro Rosso, Force India, McLaren,
yep.
Those are all teams which have a pedigree going back at least a decade, maybe more.
Yeah.
Force India used to be Jordan. McLaren have been going since the early 80s.
Sauber have been going since 93.
Sauber since 93. Williams since the 70s. Renault used to be Benetton, used to be, wasn't Tyrrell, was it before that? Was it anyway? Tolman. They've all got long pedigrees. Haas was a brand new from scratch team. They didn't buy an old team, rename it or anything like that. They came in from the ground up. The previous times we've seen that, you're looking at Caterham, you're looking at Marussia or Mana, you're looking at what was that Spanish team that was in there?
Oh, I know we had Pacific.
Oh, I'm not going back that far. I'm just talking
okay.
in the last 5 or so years.
Oh, yes.
HRT, that was it.
That's it, yeah.
HRT. You're looking at them. They come in at the back, they flounder at the back, and then they disappear.
Mm-hmm.
So Haas is doing very well.
They're doing better than Andre Mode, though.
Yes, they are.
That was a terrible, terrible thing. I think there's only one photograph of it actually driving around in the wild.
I think what Haas have been very clever is they've kind of accepted Formula One is a 2-tier championship. They know, at least with this current iteration of the rules, they're never going to win it.
Mm-hmm.
So what they want to do is be best of the rest. And if you're aiming that way, just buy everything that you can't make yourself.
Yep.
Fair play to them. And it's working. They're currently running 5th in the Constructors' Championship. Well done for them. Their budgets are a fraction of those around them, I expect. So, fair play. They're doing well. It's an intelligent way to do it. Driver-wise, Magnussen, attitude aside, has been very good, very consistent this season. He's scored in all but 4 of the races.
Right.
We've already mentioned Grosjean was largely pointless until the French Grand Prix. But yeah, he's scored in Austria and scored here in Hungary. So, yes. Little golf clap for Roman.
If you had to keep one of them drivers...
Magnussen.
There we go. Thank you very much.
Now, I just want to qualify. Yes, Grosjean took a chance with the team. An unknown team. But, I don't recall him having a huge amount of options back. There were options, but I don't think he'd be any better off than he currently is.
Mm-hmm.
And B, there's no place for sentiment in Formula One. There just isn't. It's a sport. It's a cutthroat sport at that, allegedly. And so, if you're not producing, if you're not winning, you've got to go. So, that's just the way of it. There's only 20 seats on that grid. There's a lot more drivers wanting to get in there.
Yeah.
So, Grosjean's got the back half of the season, I think, to prove he has to be there.
Yeah.
But Magnussen, I think, has done a good job. So, well done, Magnussen.
Good stuff. Renault then.
Renault, very good. They've come around a long way from where they were last year. Where were they last year? Man, very quickly looks up. I'm just going to open up the 2017 thing next to it so I can easily consult between the two. Renault were 6th last year with 57 points. They're currently running 4th with 82 points.
Yeah.
So
improvement, definitely. Big
improvement. A very good driver lineup, it must be said. Hülkenberg and Sainz are doing very well.
Yep. Well, maybe that improvement has been the move of Sainz, because remember, he moved midway through the season last year.
He did, yes.
And there's no Jolyon Palmer sat in that.
I was just trying to find the best way to mention Palmer, but
well, he has to be mentioned at some point.
He does.
They're doing better without him.
They got rid of the anchor, I suppose. So they're doing very well.
You did say anchor, didn't you?
I did say anchor. Yes.
Okay, cool.
There was definitely, it definitely started with an A, not a W.
Okay.
I would say it, because I think when Renault took over the team again from Lotus, they put in a multi-year plan to get back to the front. And I think they're sticking to that. Mm. They're being clever. I don't think their view is, until the big change takes place, to be in a position to run for the championship. But they're getting the infrastructure and everything else sorted, getting that all kind of tied off nicely. And that's all
they're looking towards the future, aren't they?
They're looking towards the future. They've made a long-term commitment to the sport, which is good, because they were a bit umming and ahhing for a while. And their manager, Cyril, whatever his name is, very diplomatic when it comes to dealing with customers in general, one in particular. Don't see why he has to be diplomatic, since it's not actually using his engines, they're using Tag Heuer's, but it's neither here nor there.
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
It's correct. But yeah, both their drivers, I think, very evenly matched, although of late, the Hulk seems to be having a little run of bad form, with a couple of retirements and a couple of out of the points finishes. But yeah, doing. I rate both Sainz and Hülkenberg quite highly. In fact,
I do as well. Yeah,
definitely one of the best driver lineups in terms of equal. Like Perez and Ocon, they're very equal. They generally get the most the car will do. So.
Yeah, I agree. I just want Hulk to get a podium, but at the moment, there's 6 cars already fighting for 3 places. A lot of people have to end up on the sideline for him to get on that podium.
Yeah.
A lot of people have to. He has to luck into it at the moment. He's not going to get out there on sheer power alone, which is a shame. Mm-hmm. But because I think they both deserve a turn up there, because they've been putting in performances. It's just a shame that they're not going to get anywhere near there at the moment.
Oh yes, very, very much so.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to Red Bull.
Red Bull. They're a very complicated team, aren't they?
They are. There was talk that they would be fighting. I think that talk has now disappeared. They aren't in with a chance of the championship. Daniel Ricciardo's not in with a chance of the championship.
No.
Like I say, a lot of people have to fall by the wayside a lot of the time for that to happen. So, as you said earlier on in the cast, they're looking at next year. And you can't blame them. You can't blame them for doing that. I'm gutted for them. I think, honestly, looking at what races we've got left, we've got Belgium, Italy, Singapore, Russia, Japan, United States, Mexico, Brazil, Abu Dhabi. I think there's 2, maybe 3 circuits they could win at.
Yeah, you reckon? Well, let's have a look. Last year, they won at Mexico.
Oh, yeah, they did, yeah.
And they won at, well, Malaysia's not on the grid this year, so that's neither here nor there. Came second in Singapore, third in Japan. And so there's potential.
I was looking at Singapore, Russia, and Brazil.
Well, Russia last year, Max had a 5th, Danny Rick retired.
Oh, dear.
Abu Dhabi, you had Ricciardo retired. Verstappen was 5th. I mean, their cars scored points in every race in the second half of the season. Ricciardo was 3rd in Brazil, in Spa. He was 2nd in Singapore. There are races they do well in, so I can see it potentially happening. But like I said, I think the relationship between them and Renault has always, ever since the end of the Vettel era, has been very contentious. And I think unfair. I feel that they've proven they're not good partners. Like, if everything's going well, they're great. That's all fine and dandy. But if it's not going well, they're very quick to point the finger at everyone else. I don't think they've ever put their hands up and said, we just weren't good enough.
It's a business, though.
It is a business, but on a business, some days you have bad days. You can't point your finger at a partner in that business and blame them exclusively for the problem.
No, that's true.
Because then, when you need their help, they're going to say, well, go fuck yourself. And I think that's happened. What's going to be very interesting, look, Japanese have a very different business culture to what we have in the West. The shit they pull with Renault will not fly with Honda. At all. Yeah. It won't. So, because what will happen is, I think with Renault, maybe this is the view that Red Bull have, you get their passion stirred up, their French pride and all that, and a certain amount of arrogance. They'll maybe try harder to prove you wrong. You try that with Honda, they're just going to clam up, I feel.
Well, Red Bull are kind of at their last bus stop now, aren't they? Because now they're going to go to Honda. Renault aren't going to have them back. No. The way that they've been treated, and they ain't going to get a Ferrari engine. They're not going to get a Mercedes engine. Absolutely,
that's the thing. And unless you're someone like maybe Aston Martin looking to come in, because no one wants to have. Let's face it. So they don't actually sponsor. They won't promote Renault at all. That's why their engines are branded Tag Heuer, because they don't want to give Renault marketing or any sponsorship amount at all. So I think because of that, they pay a bit more for the engines than they would do otherwise. It's fair enough. And that's just a business decision to do. But it was largely a spiteful move. And also, I suppose, a sponsorship. They wanted to be sponsored by Aston Martin. But they're very quick to point blame every time at Renault, like McLaren were with Honda. I think a lot of it is just that uncompromising design philosophy Adrian Newey has. And when it's right, you win races. When it's wrong, your car breaks down.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, I think both of their drivers are absolutely top-notch. I think Max Verstappen is probably more naturally talented. I think Ricciardo is a better all-round driver.
Yeah.
If you want the classic comparison, Max Verstappen is Senna, Ricciardo is Prost.
Right, okay.
You know what I'm saying? I think Verstappen more of his... I'm not saying their styles are the same, but I think Verstappen drives more with his heart on his sleeve, whereas I think Ricciardo's a more intelligent driver. He thinks the race through.
Yeah. Yeah, I see where you're coming from with that. I think there's a little bit more of a bite to Ricciardo, though.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in no way am I saying comparing him to Prost is a negative.
No, not one bit, no.
But I feel that with Verstappen, he gets his blood up, he makes silly mistakes, and they've, by and large, kind of teetered off a bit. But he has, in the past, he's Leroy Jenkins a few times, you know? Whereas I think Ricciardo, put it another way, I think if Verstappen had started at the back today, I think there's a very good chance he would have collected someone trying to pass everyone on the first lap.
I think he's calmed down a bit.
But I think I'm not saying necessarily of this race, but I'm saying Max Verstappen starting at the back is more likely to try and pass everyone in the first lap, and as a result, more likely to have an accident. Whereas Daniel Ricciardo, I think, knows he can't do it in the first lap, so picks his battles, saves his tyres where he can, and gets himself into a position where he can have a better race towards the end of it. I just think Ricciardo's just a little bit more aware of the race. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a long game to him.
Yes.
Whereas Verstappen will see the next car, the next corner, and then worry about the next car, next corner after he's got round them.
He's a little bit of a rag to a bull, I suppose.
Yeah. No, that's cool. But I think they'll both be, well, Verstappen will definitely be there. I think Daniel Ricciardo is almost certain to be there next season as well.
Yes, I think he wants to be there. I think what he wants more than anything is to just feel like he's wanted there.
Yeah.
Because I definitely feel, and I think this largely comes from Helmut Marko, that they are trying to build the team around Max, but I don't think Max is ready for that kind of mantle yet.
Yeah.
And I just think maybe Daniel Ricciardo just wants acknowledgement. He just wants to be chased a bit, pursued. I think he just wants to, like, Helmut outside his window, serenading him.
Yeah, he wants to be loved a little bit, doesn't
Exactly. You know, you want to be chased a bit, you know, a bit of romance.
Yeah.
That's what he wants.
Yeah. Okay. Right, moving on to Ferrari.
Ferrari, who have been the revelation, the sensation this year. Even
though they're still in second position.
They're still in second position. But I definitely feel that it was a shock, wasn't it? At the beginning of the season, we didn't really think they would be this competitive, really. Even though last year they were second, but last year it felt like they didn't really feel like they were really fighting for the championship, I suppose, especially after about this point going forward.
No, they were there to provide a bit of entertainment until Mercedes won.
Yeah.
They were the kind of the underdogs that you kind of had to support, because if you didn't, then you might as well just close up shop and go home. But this season, they are legitimately a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, very much so. They are, like I said last week when I might have picked Ferrari to win the race. Like I said last week, they are now the car to beat. I don't know if that's still going to be the case when we come back, because, you know, once the factories open up after the mid-season break, they have an opportunity to do updates to the car and things like that. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But I definitely think since probably it's been nip and tuck for a while, but I think since the Canadian Grand Prix, maybe. Since the Canadian Grand Prix, I feel that the Ferrari's been the car to beat.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they've always won, but I think they've had the better car.
I think they have. I think they have easily had the better car. But they can fall foul of silly little things, i.e. either strategy, weather, or just bad luck. And I think two of them have been shown in the German and Hungarian Grand Prix as well.
Yeah, no, very much so.
But how many wins have Ferrari had? There are 2,
3, 4 wins, all with Vettel.
4 wins. Now, Red Bull, we failed to mention, they've had 3 wins, haven't they? Both their drivers have won.
Yes.
And I know we're going to come along to Mercedes. They've had 1, 2...
5.
5. Okay.
All with Lewis.
Yep. So, well, yeah, there's a little pattern there, isn't there? The wingmen haven't won a race yet. Bottas, no, Bottas has come close, but we'll get onto that in a second. Yeah. Kimi hasn't really come close.
Well, he's had 2 second places.
In Austria, yeah, he could have. Yeah. And Azerbaijan, I felt that Vettel threw that one away, though. That was a silly mistake where he overcooked it and locked up his tyres and went round Bottas. And I think that's what's going to lose him the championship. Silly little shit like that, especially with Germany. That was a luck and, being unlucky and, I don't know, something else along them lines as well that really... that sort of thing, that mistake is going to cost him the championship. Yeah.
I can see that. There's a long way to go still.
Mm-hmm.
We both know that. I'm sure they'll both be keeping a very heavy eye on Max Verstappen in Singapore.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And, hopefully Alonso will be third into the first corner this time round as well. I doubt it very much, though.
Yeah, me too. Oh, yeah. Nice. So I think with Ferrari, they've settled down a lot from what they were a couple of years ago. There's peace between Vettel and the team and Arriva Bene.
Yep.
He's no longer reading War and Peace on the radio, which is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, again, something that was pointed out by Brundle in the commentary. Nigel Mansell won the champion at the Hungarian Ring in 92. Schumacher won it here in 2000, I think it was. There's many times where the championships have been settled by this point. It's still open at this point. It's a nice tight fight at the front, which is great. For all the talk of it being boring racing, I couldn't tell you at this point who's going to win. And the nice thing now is it's between 2 teams rather than just 1 team.
Yeah.
So I think that's good.
That makes a difference, doesn't it?
It does make a difference. I think what's going to count in the back end of the season is who can develop the car better. I don't think there's much between Lewis and Sebastian in terms of quality of driver. I think that... how can I say this? I think Vettel's the more stable driver in that I feel that with Lewis, when he has a bad day and goes off the boil, he suffers more than when Vettel has a bad day. When Vettel has a bad day, I think he'll still produce a good result. With Lewis, when he has a bad day, I think he needs more G'ing up to get there.
Okay, I go along with that, but as a stable driver, I would say Hamilton is more stable because I feel you can lay your house on him to win, or you can trust him to go out and get a job done. Vettel, you can ask him to do the job. He would try his best, but more likely than not, probably won't get there. I just feel I would trust Hamilton more.
Yeah.
I think he is the better driver out of the two.
Yeah, I do rate Hamilton more as a driver, but I just don't think he's interested. But I'm not going there. I'm not going there again. So I think Kimi is firmly the number 2. He's firmly in the Eddie Irvine / Felipe Massa role in Ferrari.
Yeah.
And I think he's fine with that. He don't care. They're paying him. There's an ice cream cabinet full of Magnums.
And he gets to drive a Ferrari every other week.
Exactly. He gets paid a large amount of money to drive a Ferrari.
Yeah.
And they don't get mad at him when he doesn't win.
No.
So he's kind of got a pretty cushy job there.
But when Vettel hasn't finished or got the results he wanted, Kimi's always been there to pick up the points that have been scattered around.
Well, every race he's finished, he scored points in.
Yeah.
So you can't really ask for more than that from Kimi.
He's had 5 straight podiums at the moment.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think he's doing everything Ferrari want him to do. So, yeah, I could easily see Kimi still being there next season.
Yep.
The only person I feel which might take Kimi's seat would be Charles Leclerc.
Yep.
But it might be Ferrari just say we want to give him another season in Sauber just to season a little bit more. So, yeah, I don't think we're going to see Ferrari change their lineup next year. I'd love to see Kimi win a race before the end of the season.
Oh, I would, yeah.
Don't know if it'll happen, but it would be great. But we will see. Maybe Monza. That would be good.
Oh, man, that would be amazing.
And, Sebastian Vettel, he's never been my favourite driver. But like Alonso, he has seasoned well. He's matured a bit. There's less of an air of arrogance he used to have at Red Bull. So, he seems a bit more sporting these days.
Yeah.
I think he's happier with himself and where he is. And, fair play to him. It's going well. It's been an entertaining season so far, largely because of Vettel. So,
yeah.
Good name.
Okay, and then Mercedes at the very top.
Then Mercedes, who despite leading probably feel like they're not doing as well as they should be doing. But I think it's less of a case of Mercedes going off for Boyle, more as everyone else catching up to them. I think Mercedes peaked earlier. They kind of got the most they can get out of their engine earlier.
Right.
And now everyone else is just catching up to them.
Okay.
So I think they reached their peak performance earlier, tapped into it. And now everyone else is just trying to understand it properly and get to that same sort of level. So we're seeing all the engines kind of closing up a little bit. And now they've lost the engine advantage they had. It comes down to chassis. And fortunately, the Mercedes chassis is damn good.
Oh, yeah. When it's out front, you have trouble beating it, don't you?
So, yeah, you do a bit. So, fair play to them. I don't think their chassis gets enough kudos.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it should do. I feel that I'd be interested to see what the fallout from the wingman comment is with Bottas. Because I think he was happy effectively playing the rear gunner. And notice Toto Wolff didn't call him a rear gunner, he called him a wingman. But, he was happy in that role until it was said. And then now it was being said, he didn't seem terribly happy.
Mm.
So, I think there's going to have to be some smoothing of the feathers. I don't think Bottas has delivered as well, though, so far. I mean, just looking at the results so far, Hamilton, every time he's finished, has been on a podium.
Yep.
Whereas Bottas, he's been out of the points once. He's had a third, a second. So he's only had 3 podiums in that same period. You really expect them to be nose to tail if he was getting the most out of the car.
Right. Hamilton, every time he finished, has been on the podium. Is that right?
Yeah, correct, yes. Second in Australia, second Bahrain, second China, 1 in Azerbaijan, 1 in Spain, 3rd in Monaco, 2nd in Canada, 1st in France, retired in Austria, 2nd in the UK, win in Germany, win in Hungary.
Oh. He came 2nd in Canada.
Yep.
I've got Bottas written down here.
Looking...
I've got Bottas written down here.
No, you are right. The Wikipedia has made a mistake.
Really? I've got stuff right that Wikipedia hasn't.
Wikipedia has made a mistake. There you go. Yeah, if you look at the constructor standings, someone go and fix this because I can't be asked.
Yeah.
But anyway, Canada, I stand corrected then. Aside from Canada, though. But in my defence, it's the Wikipedia is wrong.
Yeah, that's fair play.
Yeah.
See, I should trust myself more.
You should. This is a life lesson for everyone. Don't believe what two idiots on the internet tell you without checking it first.
Exactly. Yeah. Smoother the feathers with Bottas. I think there might have to be a little. I think he's all right though.
You'll be fine. He's got a new contract extension.
Yeah, he doesn't excite me though. He seems to get to the front and then travel backwards. He has a problem with long stints. His tyres don't live up to the long stints the way that the Ferrari does.
Mm-hmm.
Ferrari copes with it a lot better. And I feel that he's just a solid number 2. And they really...
I feel like you need to rephrase that.
What I do?
Well, saying he's a solid number 2. I'd say he's a solid second driver.
Okay. Everyone likes a solid number 2, though, surely.
It is true. There's nothing better. Moving on.
Oh, man, I've got a whole new sentence I'm not going to say. Jesus. Okay. Okay, he's a solid second driver, but I think that they should come out and say that to him. It's no good just hiding. Oh, yeah, we're all 100% behind you, and you can race with Lewis. You can race with Lewis, but you can't keep up with him. He's going to blow your doors off every single time.
Mm-hmm.
You've got no chance. The odd occasion you might, but the law of averages says you won't. You ain't gonna do it.
It's generally been the case that Lewis has dominated his teammates. The only exceptions being 2016 with Rosberg.
Yeah.
And Jenson Button when he moved over to McLaren.
Yeah.
And okay, before people start saying, what about 2007? Rookie season don't count, in my opinion.
Right.
Just my thought.
Well, he finished above Alonso, but that was on back count, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Hamilton, what can you say about him? Personally, I think he's a brilliant driver. I think he's one of he's definitely one of the top 3 drivers out on the grid at the moment. I think he can continue to win for years and years to come.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has got a few seasons in him still.
Do you think he's a David Coulthard?
No. Not a chance. Not a chance. David Coulthard is so overrated. It's untrue. But I feel sometimes I do agree with you that it might be his last season. I don't think it will be though. He will definitely be there. Yeah, with Lewis. I think he'll be there next season. After that, I think it's all up for grabs. But what can we say about Lewis Hamilton? There's nothing more that we can say about him. I rag on him a bit.
Yeah, and I do too. Look, I don't think I necessarily like him as a person. I don't know him personally, obviously, goes without saying. And I'm just saying the persona he projects, I don't necessarily like. He's a little bit too...
Yeah.
Sometimes he's good, but he always seems just a little too polished. He's a little bit fake. You know what I'm saying?
I think so, yeah.
He's it's like whenever a microphone goes in front of him, without fail, it's first I want to thank the fans who've done a great job. Then I want to thank the team for putting me in here and all this sort of great. It feels almost like a politician.
Yeah,
he's got a bop. He has to hit things like his. Was it maybe last year we were just before we came back? We did a little what have I been up to on holiday, and you had Kimi Räikkönen was posting pictures of him on a giant inflatable thing in his swimming pool, and people doing this. He had a massive directed video of him training and everything. It was like a choreographed promo for a boxer coming back.
Right.
It is just a little bit too manufactured, and I like seeing the ragged edges a little bit. I like seeing the real person. I liked Lewis a lot more when he was with McLaren because he didn't seem as polished. 2011 through to maybe 2013, he kind of just seemed like genuine, nice, chilled. When his brother and his dad were coming up more, well, not so much his dad annoyed me, but when his brother was out there, when it was with Jensen as his partner, and there was the great kind of interplay between him and Jensen, I liked that. But now he's kind of just gone off a bit, just for me, my opinion. But he is, without a doubt in my mind, one of the greats in the sport, certainly of all time. He's up there. He's a 4-time world champion. I'd give a good odds he's going to become a 5th-time world champion by the end of the season.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, there's a few years ago, I don't think anyone would have thought anyone would come close to that. We always thought Schumacher was just flash in the pan thing.
Yeah.
And the difference between now and when Schumacher was doing it is it's a lot closer, because that Ferrari was so dominant back in the day. It was boring to watch.
Yeah, there were a couple of seasons of that, weren't there?
There were.
Definitely.
So Lewis Hamilton, if he wins this season, absolutely deserves it. If he decides to walk away, I don't begrudge him in the slightest. He has done more than he ever set out to do. He always set out to win 3. He's done that. Now, and he's emulated Senna, and he's going on. I'm enjoying this season because it's a close fight between him and Vettel. I like that. I also quite like it's not gotten nasty. It's not,
after Azerbaijan last year.
Yeah, and I didn't particularly like last year with him and Rosberg. It got petty, it got nasty, the whole throwing the hats at him and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, God, yeah.
I don't like that. I like that they could be wheel to wheel, really close, fight it out, but then afterwards respect each other, even defending each other in press conferences. I quite like that. So, yeah, just methods such as that.
Yeah. Okay. What has been your favourite race of this season? Azerbaijan. What's been the worst one?
Monaco.
I'd say Spain. Yeah, I'd go with Spain. Overall, I've enjoyed it. I think we've needed Austria, Great Britain, Germany, and Hungary, because I feel there was a couple of races, Spain, possibly Monaco, Canada, and France for me were, they weren't up to scratch.
I might actually change my answer to Canada, because I was expecting Monaco to be shit.
Yeah.
And it pretty much was. I was expecting Canada to be amazing, and it wasn't. So,
yeah, last couple of years it hasn't been.
Yeah.
But Spain is getting to a point where, it's always going to be a boring race now.
Yeah, I'm not a huge... I've never been a huge fan of the circuit there. But, yeah, what are you going to do? Maybe that's the one. Let's drop that and have the race in Assen instead. So, yeah.
Yeah. But overall, I've enjoyed it. I think it's set up well. I know I said this last time out, but you got Ferrari behind Mercedes and Vettel behind Hamilton.
Yeah.
And I think the faster car and potentially the faster driver this season in the faster car are in second place. And so that can only bode well. I want to see Hamilton defending this. I want to see Vettel attacking this, and vice versa. I think we've only had one overtake of Vettel on Hamilton this season, and it was in a race, and I forget where it was. It might have been Great Britain.
So it might have been, yeah.
No, because Hamilton spun, didn't he?
Yeah, we've seen some good fights throughout the field, though, and I think that's good. We've not had any of the two Mercedes disappear off into the distance race, which, was what we were getting for a few years. So that's nice.
I think that's where Spain comes into it for me.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. But I'm taking, as a whole, 2014, 15 and 16, two Mercedes fucked off into the distance.
Oh, yeah, they were gone, weren't they?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. Right. Is that the end of our review? And because we kind of need to finish up on the race.
Yeah, I guess, that mild diversion down where we are at the halfway point. But,
cool.
Well, the mid-season break, if anything.
Yeah. Cool. Right. Looking forward to the next half of the season?
Absolutely. Some of my favourite races were in the next half of the season.
If you had to pinpoint one that you would like to see, what one are you looking forward to and what one are you not looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to Spa.
Yep.
Love me some Spa. It is one of the all-time great circuits and usually gives us a good race, which is good. In terms of what am I not looking forward to? I know you're a bit cool on Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you 3 I'm not looking forward to.
Yeah, okay. I'll give you 3 as well.
Russia, Mexico, and Abu Dhabi.
Oh, okay. I've always liked Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, I've never been a huge fan. I find it dull.
Okay. I'm looking forward to Belgium. I always look forward to Brazil and Singapore.
Yeah.
The ones I'm not looking forward to are Italy, Russia, and Mexico.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I'm hoping Russia might pull its finger out and do an Azerbaijan on us this time round.
Well, it would be a nice change. The USA generally gives us a good race. I quite like that circuit of the Americas.
Mm.
So we'll see. There's some good races there, and it's a nice tight fight. I'd like to see it maybe go down to the wire. That would be great.
That would be lovely.
That would be good.
That would just make sure that you actually watch it.
Well, I was going to watch. I have to watch it anyway. Got to do a sodding podcast, haven't I?
Okay, well, I think we'll leave it there for now.
Yes.
What we'll do, we'll hop skip back to Hungary because we need to do our predictions.
Yeah.
Go through the predictions and then predict for Belgium for the next time out.
Especially if Ultraman has got a problem because 2.8 has become 1.9 in the space